Welcome back, babies. Welcome back. Welcome back. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the stream. It's an absolute pleasure to host you. Yesterday was an amazing comeback. It was great to reunite with the fam. Everyone was congruent yesterday. Everyone was in check. Everyone was on the same page. We were all looking at the same thing, and it was gold longs. Congratulations. It was actually a really good trade. We're going to talk about this trade here. We're going to make sure that you guys have a full understanding of what's happening with gold right now at the moment, what is currently going on. Did you hold on to your trade? Did you put your stop loss on break even? Did you let it run to full TP? That's the question. We're going to answer everything later today. Welcome back to the live streams, ladies and gentlemen. That's your pleasure. Get back to work. Rafal, my man, good to see you. Stefan, good to see you. DS, Lalo, W, Stacy, welcome back. Adrian. Liam, the wins in the VIP. Man, yeah, a lot of guys were killing it yesterday. Absolutely killing it. Ghost, Grim Reaper, Grask, Alberto, Vicky, Andre, Lucifer Euros, Trader Academy, my man. Bro, been searching for this live stream so many times. You've never been on. Where have you been? Bro, you've missed out on something yesterday, my friend. You've missed out on something yesterday. Highly recommend you to check out that stream. I gave the full breakdown, the understanding of what we have been doing here and why we're back and how we have the LTA Concepts Trading Warm-Up for free 2.0, 300 pages of pure gold. This is exactly what you need to know in order for us to get on the same motherfucking page. Okay? We're going to talk about our data. We're going to talk about our trade setups. We're going to talk about the charts. Let's see if we're going to get another trade today. It all depends on the market. We do have to deal with some news here. Okay, we have some news later on. We'll talk about the job openings here. It's the midweek as well, but there are a couple things that we have to think about today. Anyways, we're gonna go over it regardless, and we're gonna see what we can do here. All right, that is the plan. I mean, the man with the plan is back. Good to see you here. Emmanuel says, I was happy for yesterday's analysis. Hey, it's a trade, it's a setup, and most importantly, it's not particularly just about the trade. Yes, the market conditions were favorable yesterday, but this is a setup that the community and I take all day long. It's a typical see-me confirmation play with a structure with the dollar alignment. Dollar was weaker. I could better say in terms of relative strength, gold was extremely strong regardless of dollar strength. And that showed us that the moment the dollar was in resistance, that showed us that gold will absolutely go to the moon. New all-time highs, and it did exactly that here. So today we're going to talk about that once again here. We're going to talk about the dollar and everything and why we have been so obsessed with what the dollar has been doing and how the dollar has been moving and how it has such a massive impact on our outcome, on our trading in general here. Okay, so yesterday's trade was pretty obvious. We talked about gold longs. Now, if you were, and this is super important, if you indeed held your trade on, like we put our stop loss on break even after a 1R, so that is roughly after how many pips? You could say after around 140 pips, we decided to put our stop loss on break even. We didn't decide to take profit. We take profit right at the end, right? When we reached our full TP here. This is what I'm talking about. This is data that we have been talking about already for a while here. Okay, I've been split testing everything. I have been talking about taking partials, split testing my risk, right? Diversifying my risk. So entering multiple times. I have been holding my trades for a 2-to-1 in full without putting my stop loss on break even after a 1R. And sometimes I have been putting my stop loss on break even after a 1R. By default, just letting my trades run over time will generate me more revenue, more profits. The data tells me that that's exactly what I need to do. Sometimes, yes, put my stop loss on break even. And yes, sometimes, very occasionally, I close my trade earlier. Could be news. It could be low volume. Market is not moving anymore. Choppy market conditions. There could be a couple different reasons why I would close my trade earlier, but overall, I rather hit my break even. Honestly, I rather let price come to break even and not make any money than taking partials along the way here. The data has been telling me that exactly. Over time, I will make more money. Over time is therefore also what matters, right? If that makes sense to you here, press A1 in the chat here. Like I said before, we're gonna have losing days. We're gonna have losing weeks, okay? We're trying to preserve our losing weeks as much as possible, but sometimes we're gonna have losing weeks. Sometimes I'm gonna lose. This is just the reality here, but losing months is not acceptable. Losing months for me is not acceptable, okay? Then it's definitely me. Then it's not the market, it's not the setups, it's me. There are a couple things that I probably did wrong if that's the case here. Losing weeks, all part of the plan. This is how we approach the market, of course, understanding exactly what our win rate is over the course of that time period. Okay? Awesome. Yesterday was gold. Today, I'm gonna introduce another currency. Okay, I said it already beforehand. I'm not only gonna trade gold all day long. Why? Because we have a multi-asset strategy here. So sometimes it's gonna be the currency. In this case today, I'm looking at the dollar against the Canadian dollar. I will explain you exactly why that is. For futures, it's the dollar CAD futures as well here. So yes, I will be looking at gold and I will be looking at the Canadian dollar today, and I will lead you through the reasoning behind it here. Okay? If you have downloaded the book, I recommend you to go first to page number 13. It's a refresher. We talked about this already beforehand. Yesterday, we went really deep. Okay? We're following a couple of a step-by-step process. Okay? We have a system that we developed that has been proven, that we have been trading with and with our community. All right? All the guys that are live in my group right now at the moment, they're all live trading at this moment right here. All these guys are following the exact same method. There is no differences in the way I trade or the way they trade. We all trade the same exact thing. And this is exactly what my goal was. My goal was to level these guys up, to build a community where everyone is on the same page. And it's actually harder than you think to build a community without ego, where everyone is exactly on the same page right there. So I'm very happy with that. We have pulled it off, and that's why we have all the reasons to come back and showcase and preach LTA concepts back to YouTube. And this is why you're here, and this is why we're training live once again here. So good to be back here, guys. Let's get to work and let's go over the market. And let's see what we can do, okay? So as you guys know, the JOLTS job openings are at 10 a.m. Okay, so we still have around, what, 2 hours for the news here. The opening currently of the New York session has been relatively low as well here. So it might be that we are indeed in anticipation of the news here. Okay, from my data, I can already show you, but I just want to show you something so you are aware of it. If you go to June, July, for example, August as well here, usually the worst trades of the week, for me personally, that's built around my results, are Wednesday. Why is it? It could be the midweek. It could be that price already has expanded and that price is somewhere in the middle of the range. It could be that we're seeing somewhat of a midweek reversal, right? All these layers could have an impact on my execution on my trading here. So the Wednesdays usually are a little bit more tricky than, let's say, the Monday. For me, Mondays have been actually really good. Tuesdays and Thursdays, very, very clean. It's usually the Wednesday and sometimes the Fridays that are a little bit more on the tricky side from what I've been trading, at least over the last 6 months here. So yeah, that is just what I've noticed. I'm not sure if you guys experience something similar, but the question is, you should know that, okay? You should know it. That's the reality. You should know exactly what days are your best days, what days are your worst days, and then you can ask yourself the question, what is the reasoning behind this? Why am I losing more on a Wednesday and winning more on a Tuesday or Thursday, for example, right? These are all things that I think are actually really well here. So yeah, the Monday has been picking up really well. No reason why it has been going well. I think that the opening is just extremely clear, especially when you see that flip on the weekly candle. I think it has to do with that. So yeah, Wednesdays are usually a little bit more on the tricky side. But anyways, let's talk about the market here and let's go over it right now at the moment. Let me know if you guys are ready for that, okay? Let me know if you guys are ready for that. If so, I highly would appreciate you if you could smash that like button. Your boy needs to get back into the algo. You know what I mean? That's just the reality here. So if you could smash that like button, that would be highly appreciated. It will really help kick off the streams again. We're already at 116 likes, so you guys are absolutely doing well here. So no complaints whatsoever. I appreciate that. Okay. Now with that said, dollar. Okay, we talked about the dollar yesterday. We said the dollar was very strong when we opened up. And what happened around the New York Open? We talked about this already. New York Open came and we tapped into that 8-hour supply zone, right? 8-hour supply. Once again, for the people that missed yesterday, that is part of our plan. Part of our plan is understanding the macro technicals, and we're really simplifying the macro technicals by understanding simple supply and demand. Very simple, monthly, weekly, daily, 12-hour and 8-hour. That's it. I'm not using supply and demand anything below the 8-hour time frame. I don't do that. I look at the monthly, weekly, daily, 12-hour or 8-hour, and I mark out a zone. Yesterday, we tapped into the 8-hour supply. You can see that already here on the dollar. Dollar tapped into 8-hour supply. And whenever the dollar came up here, gold was not really pushing down. Gold was actually ranging, okay? So how ironic is it that the moment the dollar gets and taps into that resistance, that is the moment where gold started to go to new all-time highs, okay? So gold was getting suppressed. There was not much money flowing into gold because of the dollar strength. But the moment the dollar was in resistance, that was the moment where we could see gold rising, expanding, and breaking out towards the upside here. Okay, so this is why we looked at a gold long setup. It was a matter of time before gold would potentially come up here. And this is why we took that trade setup right here, where we had our consolidation first during the Asian session here, right there. Okay, then London came, we came down. Then New York came, we broke above it, and we started to get involved. And we looked for that continuation setup, expecting price to create new highs because of the dollar being at resistance here. And again, the community right now that are in our group here can confirm, right? This is not random. This is exactly what we talk about all the time. It's one of these famous patterns that we talk about with the right confirmation, which was on the lower time frame right here. I think it was right there. Look at the perfect reaction right there from the POC, and then that candle flip. That was so clean. Extremely, extremely clean. Okay. Now, this is a setup that happens all the time. And I just want you to be aware of that, because if you look here back, you can see it happened right here as well. You started a range, you see the breakdown, and then boom, you break higher. Okay. Now, in this case, it didn't pull back. So it was not a trade setup for me, because you need to pull back into a key level like we did yesterday. But that's a same thing. That's the C, that's the M, and that's the E right here. Okay. Right here. Same exact thing. I marked it out already. The consolidation, the manipulation, the expansion. You break above that range. You pull back. You look for continuation. That's a long confirmation. That's a long setup right there. Okay. These setups happen all the time. The consolidation, expansion, pullback, continuation, or the manipulation, and the reversal. Okay. Now, I saw some questions from people yesterday that I didn't answer, and that was about the stop loss. Where do you put your stop loss when you take a setup like this here? Why don't you put your stop loss right there, for example? That's a valid question overall. I completely agree. Should have actually talked about this already. But the answer is very simple. I look at this range right here, and I put my stop loss below that range. Does that make sense? So you break above that range, we pull back, we enter, stop loss goes below that range. Okay, not this range, not this breakout, it goes below that range. Okay, so it looks like it's in the middle of nowhere, but actually what has been happening here is that it actually just pretty much is used again. It's a recycled range. It's a range that manipulated, but still can be used as an area of support. Why? Because the moment you break above it here, this could easily turn into an area of support again, and you have multiple key levels supporting you. So you have the fixed value area low here, you have the POC here, you have the value area high here. We closed above the value area high. We actually closed and tapped and bounced from the POC, but the fixed value low can still work as an additional layer of support here, okay? This is why we use volume. This is why we use the volume profile. This is why we believe that volume is king. Understanding the volume profile is extreme precision. It's your support and resistance on steroids. That's pretty much what it is. The support and resistance on steroids, okay? So anyways, that is a CME pattern. So every single time, guys, when we spot something like this and the macro is telling us bullish, and the relative strength of gold against the dollar is telling us gold is strong, because the dollar is coming up, gold is not dumping. That means gold is gonna go to the moon. It explodes, okay? It's gonna go higher. High probability. Now, we're not gonna just hope that and just say, okay, then we're just gonna go long anyways. Why not earlier? You still need to wait for your setup. You still need to wait for your confirmation. Why? Because we have a certain risk to reward ratio that we follow, and that's the only way to execute, okay? So sometimes shit happens. I see the play, I expected it to go that way, it does play out, but I cannot take a trade for a particular reason of me not getting the confirmation that I need, that I want, in order for me to be involved in that move to the upside, okay? So the question is, guys, what are we seeing right now? Well, clearly, if you look at it right here, we are dealing with a range, okay? And what is happening with the range? Well, right now at the moment, we are looking, if you look at the dollar, by the way, number one, that's actually the priority here. We have been creating a range, we broke out of this range, okay? Hourly time frame on the dollar. Dollar is still holding up. Okay, dollar is still holding up quite well here. So let's say we would flip the dollar right now. Then you can see that the dollar did exactly that before. What we pretty much what we saw here, that manipulation, right? Something like that here. We saw something similar yesterday here on the dollar. If you reverse the dollar chart right now. Now today we have something similar. We created a range. London opened. We took out these lows. We came up. Right here, 6 a.m. we pull back. This range becomes an area of interest. We hold that for now, okay? And the moment we break out here, will potentially continue to go lower, okay? It's an inverted chart, so that's probably what we're looking for right now on the dollar, is a potential continuation play, but we're still holding up at this current moment here. But regardless of the dollar holding up, you can see how gold already has been breaking down here. So we have a couple levels here that I'm looking at. One of these levels, it's a fixed very high. You guys already should know it by now. And if you're new and you have never seen this tool before, it's no magic, it's no secret, it's not gonna turn you magically into a profitable trader. But with a clear and clean system around it, it's gonna be extremely helpful. And it's called the volume profile, okay? And the volume profile is something that we use for all our executions. And without it, I cannot trade it. I can't trade. I can't trade without the volume profile, especially not on the lower time frame. So anyways, if you go to page number 58 of your ebook that you can download right here, then what's gonna happen is you're gonna see these patterns happen all the time. This is what we traded yesterday. It's the exact setup that we traded right here, okay? The consolidation, the manipulation, and then the expansion. And we took our setup right the moment we saw this range, the breakdown, the expansion, the retracement, entry, long. Boom, take profit. Today seems like it could be, if the dollar gets rejected here, a consolidation, expansion, retracement, continuation. So it could be a consolidation, an expansion, a retracement, and a continuation, okay? This is probability. This is gonna happen 55, 60% of the time in your favor. Now you say, oh, that's not enough. 60% of the time, that means you lose 4 out of 10 trades. Yeah, that's true. But if your average risk to reward ratio is roughly around a 2 to 1, so for every risk, so for every R, it could be 1%, it could be 5%, it could be 2%, it could be 0.5%, depending on your risk profiles, right? For every R that you make, that you risk, you want to make at least 2. That's the goal, okay? You want to make 2, risking 1, making 2. If you risk 1 and you make 2, that means that you're allowed to have what? A 35% win rate to break even. Okay? 35% win rate to break even. Extremely important. So if you win 50% of the time, you're going to be making money over time here. And then the question is, are you able to take that 50% to 60%, right? 65%, maybe even 70% in, you know, when the market is killing it, for example, right? If you can do that, you become profitable over time here. This is why your risk to reward is so important here. So let's say we have 3 streams, okay? Let's say we have 3 streams a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, okay? And yesterday we took a 2R win. We take 1 trade per stream if there is an opportunity. What's the worst case scenario today and tomorrow if we would, in worst case scenario, quote unquote, lose today and tomorrow? Let me know in the chat. Break even. Yeah. At the end of the week, we will be break even, okay? So that win from yesterday, that full TP 2 to 1, saved us for the rest of the week, the streaming week already, okay? That is the mindset. That is the mindset. Now, the next trade could be, it's gonna go, we're gonna long gold, boom, price comes up, pulls back, comes up, and it pulls back after 1 hour, we're break even. Okay, now we're break even on that trade, that's it, done. Next day we lose, boom. We're still up on 1 hour. This is important. This is how you make money over time. This is how trading actually works, okay? So for every guy who tells you take profit after 5 pips here and there and this and that, it sounds great, and you see and you hear a lot of W's. W in the chat, guys. Proper risk to reward ratio is goated. Proper risk to reward ratio is goated over high win rate, small take profits, right? You have to put it in perspective. So proper risk to reward ratio is where it's at right there. That's what we're gonna do. So just so you know, that's the thought process, that's the approach. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that because we won a 2-hour trade yesterday that we're now gonna aggressively scale or aggressively look for a trade regardless because we're so confident now. No. But the reality is that it should be already a winning week, okay? So if I look at my data now and I look at my chart, I'm looking here at this data, this should be, regardless of my next trades, if I would take one trade today and I would take one trade tomorrow and I would lose, I should still be up in profits personally because I had 2 winning trades yesterday. That's a 4R, but I should be breaking even from the streams, okay? That is how we manage and how we win over time. And that is how the real traders consistently win over time. I want you to win. I really, honestly, I really do want you to win. Otherwise, I would not be live trading. I would not be on stream. I would not be here. I have been in the LTA in my VIP group. We have been closed for almost a year. In that year, 9 months or so, or 6 months or so, we were completely closed for new people. It was a one-time payment from these people, okay? So they came in and we just be working with these guys. So we're not making any money over these guys. We're just building these guys up right there. So I want you to win, but I also want you to take it as serious as possible. So that means that if you are going to be inconsistent, let's say, with the streams and everything, there is a chance you're going to get involved when we lose a position. There is a chance when we're going to get involved when we break even, okay? Don't complain, right? Don't hate the game. Don't hate the player, sorry. Hate the game, okay? If you're consistent, we're going to lead you through the whole process and we're going to talk about everything that we need to know here. So coming back to gold right now, fixed or high, it's looking very interesting. Most importantly is the volume right now. If you're seeing some volume coming in, then I think we do have exactly what we need here, okay? So I'm going to mark out this range. This might be indeed the continuation play we were waiting for in order for us to move forward here. Why is gold bullish? Well, gold broke above that high, like on the weekly time frame already. We literally broke higher. Okay, on the daily, we closed this daily candle above it 2 times in a row here. And you guys know it. After a period of consolidation here, okay, for, what is it, like what, 4 months, 5 months? Once the breakout comes, you know, it doesn't always have to be price closes a daily candle, price pulls back, turns that into support and then goes higher. Doesn't always happen. It happens. Doesn't always have to be the case here, okay? This is, by the way, typical gold behavior. This was a breakout in September right here. If we go to last year and we look at September, when did we broke out? It's actually kind of interesting if you look at it. Let me see. We had this one right here. Yeah, pretty much like we were very, very choppy overall here. And then September came. We formed still a range for the first 2 weeks and then boom, we went up. And we never got back towards that range ever again. So doesn't always have to be the case here. And you guys know it, if gold is in an all-time high, gold can absolutely fly. You guys know it here. So there's no reason to short gold, in my opinion, an all-time high, even though a lot of people will try to predict the top. A lot of people will get involved and they will try to simply short the top just because they think, oh, it is in an all-time high. We need to make a pullback at some point. So I'm going to short the top. I'm going to try to short the top. It's usually not going to work out. Okay, because we don't have that confirmation here. So yeah, we're going to stick with what we have. And that is a beautiful range, a breakout. Now expecting a potential retest. Okay. Does it matter if the future chart is different than the Awana chart? Yes. We always look at the 2 different charts. We're always trying to compare both charts right here. You can already see it. It's actually not as different as you think it is. It's actually quite similar. So we have marked out the levels here. The fix very high and the fix BSC. We wait for price to pull back and then we'll see what happens from there. Pretty similar. That is one layer, okay? So that is gold. Now, I told you guys, I'm not only gonna look at gold, I'm also gonna look at something else if I get the opportunity. And that is currency sometimes as well here. And one of the currencies that I've been looking at and that I've been closely following and monitoring is the dollar against the Canadian dollar. So gold is on a hold right now. We know exactly where to look for a setup. The pullback into any of these levels, a confirmation for long continuation. That is what we're looking for gold, okay? Now, there is one more setup here that we're gonna talk about, and that is the dollar against the Canadian dollar. Okay, let me actually just put it up. Right there, all right? Dollar CAD, okay? Beautiful range right here. Absolutely nice. We're waiting for the pullback. If price pulls back to the 138,236, there's a big chance I'm gonna look for short opportunities right here, okay? If the dollar CAD pulls back into that level, we get rejected here, there's a big chance I'm gonna short the dollar against the Canadian dollar. Dollar is in supply, Canadian dollar is very strong. We have actually a lot of macro signals on the Canadian dollar as well here. We're not gonna go too deep into that today here, but this is something from next week onwards. We're really gonna pay attention to the macro as well here. This is gonna have a huge impact also when trading gold, also when trading currencies or whatever. But the Canadian dollar has some really interesting macro fundamental data, which we're gonna talk about later on next week, which have been really helpful with our understanding of the Canadian dollar and why we're bullish on the Canadian dollar. Okay, so if price pulls back, we are looking for a continuation on the dollar CAD. That means a pullback into this range and hopefully a rejection for a continuation towards the downsides right there here. Okay, from a higher time frame standpoint, look at the Canadian dollar. We're getting rejected from weekly supply here. Super important, weekly supply. Daily time frame, we have daily supply sitting right there. And on the hourly time frame, or the 30-minute, we're dealing with what we talked about right there, that particular range. So on the lower time frame, that's where I'll look for my entry opportunities right there. Okay, that is the dollar CAD in a nutshell here. That is something that I'm going to keep my close eyes on during the next coming hours as well here, besides the gold chart. Okay, hope that makes sense. Rich One Day says, do you look at buys differently since we are in all-time highs, or you don't worry? No, I don't worry about it. I don't worry about it. No. I actually, to be honest, I like trading gold at an all-time high. I like buying gold at an all-time high. It's just that if gold goes, it goes, man. It can be unstoppable. You guys know it. It ranges for a long period of time. The whole summer it has been ranging, and last summer 2024, if you guys were on the streams, you knew that gold started ranging during the summer, and then the moment we broke out again, Q4-ish, or getting closer to Q4, game over. Game over for gold right there. So yeah, it could just keep going here. I'm personally trading it until I get invalidated, pretty much. That's how I would trade it. I would trade it till I get invalidated, but I would still wait for the setup. I still make sure, you know, that the dollar aligns, that the dollar is not looking strong. Like, I still make sure that all these things are aligned regardless, okay? I would never take a trade without it. So yes, 1 hour till the news. Does it matter if the... Oh no, we already answered that. Please can you help look at the NQ on a 50 minute? Would it be valid sell? So the NQ actually right now is at the... I already know exactly what price level you're talking about, by the way. Let's go over the NQ here. NQ is actually holding up really well. We're at that range right now. You know what the thing is about the NQ right here? This doesn't look weak to me. This doesn't look weak to me. I'll tell you why. We range, we break down, we immediately reverse, create a high, boom, we come back, okay? But this is where it gets interesting. 12-hour time frame. We're bouncing off 12-hour demand, okay? This is why the macro is so important. If you understand the macros, you get involved in the macros, you need to know, you know exactly what kind of setups you can take, and what kind of setups you can avoid, and what kind of setups you expect here. So we talked about these two patterns yesterday, when we look at gold. And we said it's either gonna do this, right? This is what it did, or it's either gonna do this. How do you know which one is gonna play out, right? Because if you take a trade, you're going to get stopped out on this one. That has to do with the macro. That has to do with the dollar. Okay. The macro is the higher time frame prices reacting from it. This always dominates, right? This always dominates. If there is a larger accumulation taking place in the higher time frame, it will always dominate the lower time frame. Okay. So if price bounces from this 12-hour demand zone, and we go to the lower time frame, and we look at that range, then what I would see, or what I would want to see, you could better say, is actually price breaking higher and doing something like this. It will get extremely natural for you, my friend. You will absolutely, once you start practicing this stuff, it gets very easy. Okay. How long do you stream? We stream around what? 3 hours yesterday? Yeah, now we're back. It's cool to be back here. Got a couple messages from some other streamers, which is very nice. Like, hey bro, welcome back. What's your thoughts on the Nasdaq? We talked about it literally 5 minutes ago. Go back 5 minutes, you will see it. You will see it. You will see it. So let me know what you guys are trading. Actually, this is what I want to know, by the way. I want to know what you guys are trading. A lot of you guys are going to say gold. But I'm also curious if some of you guys trade something else besides that, okay? Because the dollar cat for me is very interesting. But I'm very curious to see what you guys are trading besides that. Let me know, actually. Yeah, at least some Forex, right? Some Forex, regardless. Lelos is everything. BTC currently in dollar Swiss, Euro USD, dollar yen, GU. Dollar yen, DAX, GU, EU. A lot of currencies, guys. You guys trade a lot of Forex. Wow. Okay, okay. That's good. I like that. I like that. I like that for sure. That's very good. Silver is really interesting. Yeah, we can talk about silver as well, by the way, if you want. Silver is obviously catching up very well. If gold is killing it, then silver will probably also be doing better, because it is a commodity like gold here. However, sometimes it has somewhat of a lagging period. Yesterday, gold was clearly better, right? We can definitely see that. Gold was clearly king yesterday. But if you look at silver, yeah, silver just need to... Let me go to higher time frame first. Yeah, silver broke out Monday. I mean, silver is looking very good. We're going to reach monthly resistance right here very soon. That is a macro target you have to acknowledge. The thing about it is, silver is there, has that way to go. Gold is at an all-time high. It has no limit. It has no cap from here, okay? So yeah, I do like this range. Breakdown, reaction, entry, or we look at the previous daily, we could. I would still use it as a range, to be honest. I would use it as a range. I would just utilize this range right here and see from there. So yeah, we're looking at silver too, but I mean, gold was definitely ruling yesterday. Definitely killing it. Okay, this is nice. I like the fact that the dollar now, the dollar is pushing up here a little bit. Okay, this is good. We want to see that, because this is going to help us with the dollar CAD. Canadian dollar is just super strong. This is going to help us with gold as well, by the way. If the dollar pushes up here and gold just doesn't care and it's holding up very well, that shows you that gold is just, there's no reason to short gold. Zero. Andrea says, Lorenzo, do you find yourself in a better place trading the same strategy set up on different assets compared to creating multiple setups, developing multiple entry types on one single pair? So yeah, to be honest, it started with one instrument. You guys already know that. One instrument, one particular setup. Then it turned into multiple different setups here. Then I had to pull back to one setup and that's it. And then layer it on top of each other. So yeah, at the beginning, I do think if you want to learn quick and you want to do something, I think you can focus on one or two setups that you understand and just trade that for a long period of time. Just trade these setups here. For example, these two setups that I gave you are perfect examples of saying, I'm just going to trade this pattern or these two patterns. That's all I'm going to do. And I'm going to collect information. I'm going to collect data. And with that data, I'm going to try to improve. With that data, I'm going to optimize. I'm going to see, okay, what works, what doesn't work, etc., etc. So I do believe that less is more at the beginning. But once you have that nailed, you can start adding on and adding on and adding on, and you start seeing things clearer. So time will help you expanding. Okay, time will help you. But yes, I do agree that at the beginning, one setup, two setups is, in my opinion, the best way to get started. Lorenzo, what is one of the the biggest traps that you experience? Well, let me tell you one. All right. Let me tell you one. One of the biggest traps out there that I've heard. Just keep it simple. Just keep it simple and you will make a lot of money. Just keep it very simple. You know what they actually say? Yeah. What they actually say, what you will hear when they say that is, you don't have to work for it. You don't have to work for it. You just keep it simple, man. Just draw a couple lines on the chart. That's all. That's all you need to do. A couple lines here and there, boom. Keep it simple, man. If I hear that shit, I'm like, no way, bro. The reason why these guys are telling you that is not because what they're actually saying. What they're actually trying to tell you is you need to have all that experience. You need to have all that knowledge. You need to have studied. You need to have backtested. You need to have put in all the work in order for you to understand what you're looking for in the market. So you can reverse engineer it, okay, and turn it into a more simple and effective strategy. But it comes from all that experience, all that hard work, all that consistency. That is where that's coming from here. 80% of the people hearing, just keep it simple, man, are guys that think, oh, so I just need to keep it simple. I draw a line and a breakout and boom, I'll execute my trade. I'm going to make $1 zillion. That's just not the reality, okay? You need to put in the work. The most and best traders I know keep it simple after 10 years of fucking grinding their asses off. They know exactly what kind of setup they're looking for, at what specific market condition they need to wait for, and what needs to happen in order for them to execute. That's when it looks simple, and that's how they simplify their strategy eventually, because they were able to filter out all that noise that they created, that they learned about beforehand. They filter out all that noise. They get what they get, a simple and clean strategy after years of hard work. That's the difference. That's the difference. So you need to put in the work. You need to step up your game. There is no secret. There is no secret strategy. There is something that we call the magic touch with the volume profile, but it's about understanding the system. It's about understanding all the nuances that come with it. Okay. All the things that come with it. Understanding when to execute, how to manage risk, when to avoid trading. That's actually another point. The best traders I know, they know how to avoid losses. We're always all talking about making money and trading, but avoiding losses. If I would just eliminate sometimes just stupid losses. This was a great example, stupid loss. I just traded, I took a stupid trade. If I just avoid that by itself, I will be making a lot more money. So sometimes just avoiding losses is also another skill that you build over time. But in order to get there and to know when to avoid, when to trade and when to stay out of the market, that is something that you have to learn, okay? This is why time will give you the experience. And this is why following a system is so important. Because if you follow a clear system, you eliminate already so much noise. You just simply speed up the process. All right, Goldie, I hope you come back. Let's see. Dollar is pushing up, so I hope that the dollar cat also pushes up a little bit more. It's actually so weak already. So weak already. I read the book and it was great, but the only problem was I couldn't figure out how to put it all into a clear chart from A to Z. Yeah, this is why our first chapter, and this is actually purposefully done, okay? Let me guide you through how you learn this book and how you actually really benefit from this book, okay? So, yes, we have a macro to micro approach, right? So it means that you start at the higher time frame, you move down to the lower time frame, you know, and that's how we execute a position here. But if you look here at chapter 1, our first chapter is volume analysis. But our first chapter is on the lower time frame. So what do I say here? I actually tell you I'm encouraging you to start on the lower time frame first, to get familiar with the volume profile, to start executing setups around it, okay? To understand what kind of levels we're looking for, patterns we're looking for, reactions we're looking for. I want you to execute trades with that, just that. Once you have that understanding and that experience a little bit, then I want you to zoom out and start reverse engineer the strategy towards the macro. So it's actually not a top down at the beginning. It's actually a down top analysis. All right. It will make sense. I want you to execute. I want you to know exactly how to get involved and take trades. I want you to get involved, win a couple trades, lose a couple trades, and then from there onwards start zooming out. Okay. From the bottom up instead of from the top down. And then we'll talk again. So that's why we started actually with LTA Concepts 1.0 at the beginning. That was just volume. Then we started to incorporate all the other layers that we're going to talk about. Okay. How do you find your bias? Dollar. If I understand what the dollar is doing, then I will most likely create a bias here. There is also macro data, macro fundamental data. We can go with here. You have the macro fundamental data as well here. That can help me with creating a bias. Okay. But having a bias does not necessarily mean I can take trades. Okay. Having a bullish bias does not necessarily mean I can take and execute a position. So there is a really distinct difference between macro bias, understanding the directional bias, what I'm looking for, what I want to see, and me actually executing a position. Okay. It's a combination of both that I want to see. So on the lower time frame, I need to see a certain pattern. On the higher time frame, I need to see a certain reaction. It could be from supply and demand, something in that manner. Okay. Now, if the dollar is in resistance, then most likely what you're going to see, you're going to see gold going up. You start seeing currencies getting stronger, pushing up higher. You start seeing these things. Okay. If gold is coming down, the other way around. So the dollar is extremely important as well. We'll talk about this a lot more in the future as well. Monsef says, yesterday you came live. Yesterday you came live and I bought a funded account. So how much risk should I take per trade with a funded account to get the first payout? You know, bro, I cannot give you the exact reason of how much you should risk per trade, because I don't know if you have collected all the information. I don't know if you know exactly what your strategy is, what the setups are, what your win rate is, what your risk to reward is on average. Like, you need to give me all of the information for me to tell you exactly what you can risk on average. Otherwise, I'm going to give you something standard, and that might not be even correct, because you might be, you know, much more advanced than that. So I don't know how much you should risk per trade. You should know how much you should risk per trade. Also says, do you not apply the fixed range volume profile to impulse ranges, not consolidation? I found that reacts from very low TC in such conditions very well. We have different ranges. We just start with two ranges, two patterns that we trade on stream. And we will start expanding this over time here because we have a lot more things to talk about. We have the daily profiles right here, the weekly cycle, which is the Sunday open, the previous Sunday open. We have the weekly volume profile. We have a lot of things to talk about. Gold is such a, yeah, gold is absolutely going crazy right now. Yeah. Which is good. It was about time. Is the dollar opposite to gold? Not always. So let me explain this. This is actually such an important thing. People think that when we talk about correlations, that gold, for example, has to go down 1% and the dollar has to go up 1%, for example, right? That's like what people think when they look at correlations. But what happens is you need to understand how gold moves in relative strength terms against the dollar. If you understand that, that's where the power of gold comes from, okay? So that comes from dollar coming up aggressively and gold coming down, but just a little bit. Okay, so if dollar comes up aggressively, this is what we saw yesterday. Dollar came up aggressively, gold didn't want to break down. That is relative strength. That is showing you that gold is gonna go crazy the moment the dollar will reach resistance. So if the dollar is in resistance right here, and then we have our range, boom, 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 and we're here, and gold and the dollar starts ranging here, boom, that's when gold starts flying. It could also be the other way around. Sometimes you're gonna see the other way around. Dollar comes up just a little bit, okay? Dollar comes up just a little bit, gold drops really hard. Same thing. Lorenzo, I'm in a buy on gold right now. I used the same pattern as yesterday. Was I right on it? Well, the thing is, for me personally, I want to see price really pulling back into one of my levels. It didn't tap into my levels here. My level is at 35.40. Not on spot, not on... Did it actually tap into it? No, not on futures either. So for me personally, it didn't tap into my position. So for that particular reason, no. And we have news coming also in 15 minutes, right? So this is the thing about today. When I talked about like losing trades on a Wednesday, this was also almost a losing day, by the way. Look here. This was in August. I had a losing day on a Wednesday on the 6th. I had a losing day on the 13th. And I almost had a losing day right here on the 20th. as well. That would have been 3 weeks in a row where I would be losing on gold, or sorry, on gold in the market in general on a Wednesday. Okay, so right here you can see that I managed to get into a trade, and you know, I made more than I lost, so I ended up green. But the reality is that when we're dealing with news later, the chances of these reversals are a little bit bigger, and that's usually the reason for why this has not been doing well for me personally in August, for example. August, July as well. Look at that, 12K. Right there. All around the same time period, by the way. So if price doesn't give me a clear setup and it doesn't tap into my level, I'm not going to force anything here. Especially after yesterday's trades. There's no reason to force anything. Zayla says, do you use prop firms? I do. I do use prop firms for daily setups. And I use my personal account usually for macro swing setups, okay? However, the market has been in a larger range. So in the summer times, usually there are not many swing trades that are really interesting to take for me. So usually that will pick up again later on. This month, maybe next month, we'll start seeing bigger moves again. So until that moment, just simply looking at lower time frame setups. How do you draw the fixed range as an accurate possible? You will get used to it more. You will see. The most important thing of a range is, if you draw a range, you really want to spot the breakout, okay? And the cleaner the range, the better it is. I agree. If you see a range and you break out, then you simply take the left to the right and you use that, boom. Before you come in, you don't take the large candle in consideration. And you also don't take the large breakdown, for example, in consideration, or the break up, whatever. Just always look for that internal range as much as possible, okay? But you can see it. You can see it on Goldie. Over and over and over again. If gold goes like it's going right now, you're going to see this happening all the time, guys. I'm telling you. You're going to see the same pattern happening all the time. All the time. Every swing that you see on the higher time frame, where you break higher on the higher time frame, okay? Every swing you see on the higher time frame, you break out, you're going to see a pullback. You're going to see the retracement. You're going to see the continuation here. It's happening over and over again here. Okay. Highly recommend you to test it as well here. To just simply back test it yourself. Mohammed says, bro, after this strong push, do you think it will go back? I don't know. I don't have a magic ball. I don't know. We'll see. That's another thing we talked about. I'm not here to predict anything, okay? I'm not here to tell you we're going to come down in the next 15 minutes. I can't tell you that. But what I can say is that if we come down, I will probably take a long continuation if we get the confirmation. That's the other thing, right? Like, a lot of people ask me, yo, Lorenzo, like, what do you think about ICT? What do you think about SMC and stuff? I'm like, bro, I have nothing against SMC, ICT, and I do understand the AMD model. It's actually very similar to the way we take trades and stuff. I'm not a big fan of these fair value gaps and these order blocks because they're different ones. They're different, you know, it's very subjective overall. At volume, you know exactly what levels you need to look for, etc. This is why price perfectly tap into the level. But there's one thing I've noticed about many ICT traders, and you just let me know if I'm wrong, man. Please burn me. You can just tell me right away if I'm wrong. Okay, but they are obsessed with being right. They're obsessed with being right. They're obsessed with predicting the market. So actually really predicting the outcome of how the whole move is going to be throughout the whole day and the whole week and the whole month and the whole 90-day cycle. And they get obsessed with that. They get obsessed with, okay, that is what's going to happen. So I'm going to build my whole bias, my whole strategy. Everything is going to be on that prediction. And if it then doesn't play out, they're screwed. They're screwed for the next month, the next 60 days. So when we talk about the macro and we say this is the confirmation, macro fundamental bias is bullish, that doesn't necessarily mean we expect to trade long, right? That doesn't necessarily mean we're going to take long setups only. We're going to take trades like this overall. No, it means that this is our bias, but the confirmation comes. We have no idea what the market will do in the next 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 1 hour, 5 hours, 10 hours, okay? This is why we call, and this is something that we talked about in our group all the time, and that is scenario mapping. If you become the king of scenario mapping, okay? You become the king of scenario mapping. You're gonna kill it. If you stop trying to be right and accept that you don't have any control over the outcome of what the market will do in the next 30, 50, or 30 minutes hourly, okay? And you draw scenarios, you're gonna get 10 times better results and you're gonna get a much easier vibe. You're gonna be chilling. Why? Because you have a line, you have a certain strategy, and you say, if A happens, I execute. If B happens, I stay out of the market or I execute. Right? So I'm not saying this needs to happen or this is going to happen, because you're only fooling yourself. What if it doesn't happen? What if price comes up, it rejects, right? You only allow yourself to make silly mistakes. You only allow yourself to get involved earlier because you know exactly what's going to happen, right? You're going to go into the market earlier. You're not going to follow your rules. You're obsessed with the outcome. You can't see and think clear anymore. You can't think outside of the box because you're so obsessed with the outcome. You're so obsessed with this is what's going to happen, and that's what I'm going to do. Tunnel vision, my friend. You're gonna get tunnel vision. This is something that I've experienced for years. This is one of my biggest struggles, to be honest. When I was trading, is being tunnel vision too much. Like always thinking that I know better than everyone else, or always thinking that I know what's gonna happen. And that's what I'm gonna do. Do you only trade New York session? No, not at all. Not at all. I do trade London too. Yeah, I like London session as well here. But Dylan says big ego is enemy. I agree completely. Like, this is something in our group that I just don't accept. We just do not accept egos in our group. You know, there are always these, like, how do I say it nicely? How do I say it in a normal way? Let's actually put on some different music, because how do I say it respectfully? There are always going to be guys in the group, right? That one guy that always tries to know better than someone else. That is going to tell you, I told you it was going to happen. I told you the price was going to go up. Loser, I told you the price was going to dump. Get away from these guys as much as you can, okay? Number one, that's all hindsight. That's all after. I could buy Bitcoin at $1. A secondary, that's not how you grow as a trader. That's not how you know, people learn from each other, right? That's not the right mentality, the right mindset. People learn from each other when they understand each other's values, scenarios, and strategies, and they actively share and talk about it here, and are not attached to the outcome or attached to trying to be right. Juan says my trade hit TP, but I'm not happy because I couldn't wait for the proper confirmation. Is that what you call a stupid trade? Well, my friend, that's up to you to decide. You know your strategy, right? And if you say, hey, listen, I didn't wait for the confirmation, you actually already answer your own question. Lorenzo, are you expecting gold to pull back from here? That's what I mean. That's something that I can tell you. Like, yes, gold is going to pull back right now. Okay, it's going to come down 60 pips. Then it's going to break higher. And then here at 52, we're going to dump. And then we're going to go to the 3,500, which is it's a psychological level. And then we're going to accumulate there for a while, around about 30, 45 minutes. Then we're going to manipulate. And then from there onwards, we're going to go up. But of course, along the way, we're going to see, you know, a bit of choppy market behavior throughout this next Asian session. But the expansion during London will be around 300 pips. We'll see. Someone clip this, by the way, in case it does happen. That would be actually legendary. But anyways. Do you have experience in indices? What do you think about the Nasdaq? So Nasdaq, man, same thing we talked about. We're gonna see actually. This is very interesting. I'm also curious to see how this opens up. Because look at this. Look at this. Look at that. Right before the open, right? Two minutes away from here. The thing is with the open, price could easily break higher. It could also break down. So the reality is that if we break higher, above this range, that this trade is the ultimate retest confirmation play. I don't know how some people call it. They call it the ORB strategy. But in reality, it's just your CME play. So your C, your M, your E. Well, right now we're gonna reject it, okay? Right now we're gonna reject it right at where? Right at what level? We took the range, okay? We draw the volume profile on that range, over that range. It gives us a red line here. And that red line shows us that at 23,458, the most volume in that range was traded. What happens? Price pulls back and taps into what? Free at 23,458. And it gets rejected there. Christopher says, you mean CMD? For me, we call it CME. That's how I grew up with it. Some people call it CMD. Some people call it AMD. I guess some people call it, yeah, AMD, CMD, CME, power of three, so many different terms. But price pulls back, gets rejected right at the fixed PUC, right? So this is where it gets super interesting. Let's say price breaks higher during the open, which could happen, and price pulls back, then that could be a good confirmation. To be honest, I think it was a really weak open, by the way. Really weak. But it could be rejecting here. It could be. Yeah, so we have news in like, what, 30 minutes? I think this is going to have a bigger impact on the dollar. I think this is going to have a bigger impact on gold. I hope to see more volume then. That would be very nice. Lorenzo, would you take a trade if that happens? On the Nasdaq, I would take a trade for sure. If that happens, yes, I would take it. Yeah. But you can already see how good and powerful these levels are. So start marking them out, start getting familiar with these levels, and then start understanding the system behind it, and then really learn about it, and you will see. Why don't you consider the current range as a valid range? Because of the fact that the macro is actually showing me that we're bouncing off 12-hour demand here. And it's actually holding up really well. It's actually holding up really well. It's actually holding up too well, in my opinion. Too strong. So for the Nasdaq, what I'm looking for personally is either breakout retest entry or or nothing, or price pulls back down, it holds in the demand zone again, it starts ranging, it starts doing something like this. You know, I would enter, I would look for something like there. Could be both. Lorenzo, do you trade the news? I will be very careful. I would be very careful with trading news. Maybe after the news, I think you could get, if you can get a confirmation after, that would be legendary. That would be really good. Can happen. I got shaken out of a position on the pound. I think, when was it? I think in August. Who remembers in our VIP? Who remembers this exact setup right here? This was a really bad setup. let me show you. Where is that setup here? Yeah, look, was it this one? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So we had this range. Price got rejected from the POC here. I entered the short position. My stop loss was there. This was around, I entered my short position around 8 a.m. The news came at like, what, 9:45 or something like that. And I was still in position, and I said, and for some reason, mentally or something, I don't know what it was, but for some reason, I couldn't close my position before the news, because I saw that rejection here. It was actually looking very good. I was like, it's gonna get rejected. It's getting rejected again. It's pulling down. It's already below the POC here. So it's just gonna go. And then boom, price came up and took me out there. So news is it can be very, very tricky. You can get the perfect setup. Price can get into your levels. Everything is perfect, and then news turns around in a flash. Even though I didn't trade news directly, I was still in position while news came. So it's the same thing, pretty much. Same mistake. So yeah, that's obviously something that you have to avoid for sure. I mean, I can ask you the same question. Did you win more or did you lose more with trading news? Let me know. I'm not talking about Trump, by the way. Like, that's a total disaster, right? But I'm talking about just general news. It seems just too random. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Ooh, look at gold. Look at that. What's happening with Canadian dollar? It's weak. I'm very curious to the news. Very curious to news. We have 20 minutes left, so there's no way we can get into a trade before the news happens. So let's see what happens here. Once this goes, we'll get the confirmation. I'm gonna mark it out anyways. I'm gonna screenshot it right here. Let me do that. And let's see what they're looking at. Let's have a quick chit chat. Let's see what they're doing. Okay, so we have Christian right here. Christian has been doing very well lately. I think he just entered oil longs right there. According to the early previous daily very low, we'll talk about this a little bit later. I think that aligns with a previous range as well. Yeah, it aligns with the previous range as well. He's just marking it out right now for you guys. So yeah, I think he is in an oil long. He just entered an oil long position right there. It's very interesting to look at actually right there. So yeah, interesting. Christian. I think that Liam is on the same page here. Yo, what's up guys? You're looking at oil at the moment?
Yeah, bro. Sorry, man. You're slightly delayed, I think. Yeah, man.
Yep, we're in.
Yeah.
Slightly. We're getting close to the 4 hour closure, but have my level set just above the previous week fix area high. Yeah, I like what it was presenting. So got 1 hour sitting there as well. Set the levels and we'll see. Have a good time. Looking good. I like the 30-minute rejection of this so far. If it flips, see what happens in the 4 hour.
Cool, very interesting. Yeah, thank you. All right, the guys are in oil longs right now. That is actually kind of interesting to see here. I want to check out oil real quick, regardless for the fam, while we're waiting for gold. Dollar cat as well to see what happens there. But anyways, they have been executing an oil long setup after it came down here. Yeah, if this flips, there is a large chance of a continuation here. So we'll see. Xu says, why are you not looking for a short on NQ as it keeps getting rejected from the POC? Good question. We just talked about it already. And we said that I want to see the NQ breaking actually above it. Eventually turning that into support for continuation. Because of the macro structure right now. That is the main reason why I am not willing to get involved into a short position right here. Can it go down? Could be. But if it breaks up, probability is much higher that we continue higher. $15 minutes, geez, 50 minutes. We're gonna see what's going on. 50 minutes, we're gonna see what happens here. In the meantime, every day here, I'm gonna be here at least 3 days a week, right? So if you have any questions about the strategy, if you're actually putting in some effort and you read the book, I'm really happily here to talk about it and to share whatever you need to know. That this is something that you could use if you have some serious questions. Then we'll go over it, okay? Every week we'll come up with a couple new layers that you need to know, a couple things that you might find very interesting that will improve your strategy for sure. And over time, it's just gonna be a process where every day you're gonna just get a little bit better. You know that 1% a day keeps the financial doctor away. 1% of day of improvement. Trading wise, just getting a little bit better, just getting that little nuance, that little understanding. Compounding is huge. If you do that for 3, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, you're gonna see a big difference in your trading. I can guarantee you. Minus 0% news in 50 minutes impact on gold. It could if news comes out, gold's gonna come down first, then it's gonna push. Lock in, my G. Time to lock in, my bro. Time to lock in. Will you trade today? I will always see if I could take a trade live if my plan exactly follows up with what I'm looking for. Okay. So we're dealing with news. News is in 12 minutes. If price pulls back towards any of my key levels here and price responds from it, then there is a big chance that I will be indeed executing a long. True. Absolutely. It happens rarely that I don't trade during the whole day. You can see it like throughout the whole month, for example, in August, I had 15 trading days. Okay, 15 trading days. Sometimes I don't trade. Sometimes I don't trade for a couple days. After this loss right here, I said, market conditions right now are not ideal. So I'm not going to trade Monday. I'm not going to trade Tuesday. I'm going to stay out of the market. Boom, I'm going to come back Wednesday when the market has been showing me again exactly what I'm looking for. And then Wednesday, boom, I get back into it. Like nothing happened. So we're going to see this probably as well this month in July. Very similar, 17 trading days in July. So, you know, 1, 2. We skipped a couple days here. June, I didn't trade for a full week. Didn't like what I was seeing in the market. Decided to just simply not trade the first week of June. That's it. Didn't decide to trade. Didn't like it. Right, so some days we're going to have that around, I think around 15 trading days is the average. Lorenzo, how do you deal with if your fixed levels are way different on the 50-minute and 30-minute? I always look at the ones that are the closest and I wait for price to respond into them first. And then I'll see what price does around it. Does that make sense? So if the volume profile shows you slightly different levels at the 30-minute time frame, I tend to look at the levels that come first. I'll wait for a response and I'll see what price does. Like, this is also a very good point you're making. This is why we're talking about the execution or the entry models, different entry models that you can use. The execution, this is on page number 56 of your book. We have what we call here an EM1. It's called the double wick confirmation. Okay, the double wick confirmation, and the double wick confirmation is a confirmation that we're looking for where two different candles are tapping into your key level, and then candle 3 breaks candle 2. Okay, candle 3 breaks candle 2. It breaks the lows here. Stop loss can go higher if you see a pattern like this here. That's an entry model, what we call an entry model 1. Okay, then we have an entry model 2 where you wait for an internal confirmation. A little bit of a different story. They have an EM3 that's similar to what we traded yesterday. And then you have an entry model 4 where it's actually holding at support, but decides to continue to break down after the third candle is met. So that's 2 areas where you bounce, and then the third one breaks down further. Okay, but you need to have that you need to have the understanding beforehand. Are you looking for longs or are you looking for shorts? You cannot decide it on the spot. Some people go and they wait for a price to hit a level, like right here, and they say, we'll see. Now I'm going to take a short position, for example. Now you should already know before you are there. You should already know here, am I going to look for a short at this level? Or am I going to look for the breakout for the continuation? You should know this by default beforehand. So we're not waiting for price to hit the level right here and then boom, reverse. No, we wait for price to then potentially break out and continue higher. It all depends on what we know beforehand, okay? So yesterday we said we're only looking for longs, that's it. So yesterday on gold we said we only want to see price breaking out higher. And if that happens, we're going to execute right there. The only reason why we would trade here. When we opened the stream, price was here. We said we need to break above this range. So I could also say, if price gets there, I'm going to maybe short it. If we get rejected, no. I'm only thinking about buys. I'm not thinking about sells. So price got here. I'm not thinking about sells here. I'm only thinking about buys. So what happened? Price broke out. We wait for the confirmation. Now I'm willing to continue higher. And that's what we talk about all the time. It's the understanding, okay, when do I get in position and when do I stay out? Am I bullish biased? Am I bearish biased? That depends. If price breaks out higher and it does it, I'm gonna look for longs only. I'm not gonna look for shorts. Right now, the Nasdaq is holding up. It's getting rejected here. Yes. Good breakdown. Okay, good. Where does the Nasdaq becomes very nice to trade, by the way, if you want to short it? Breaking below this range and then selling from there. Until that moment, this is the only way up. The only way up from there. Okay. If we break structure here, we break and take out this range. So let's go to the dollar, to the Nasdaq. Nasdaq right now, perfect rejection, right? But right now, I cannot look for short setups here. I cannot. Macro is in control here. But if you do decide, let's say, take out this range internally, then you get something similar as what we traded on gold yesterday. Then we would get something like this. Price bounces from a range. You have that range. You break above it. You pull back into it and you look for long setups right there. Now, that's literally gold setup yesterday. Literally the same thing. But in this case, it's of course, you know, inverted. It's reversed, right? If price breaks down here and it pulls back, yeah, I might be willing to look for the continuation. Why? Because I do believe there is a larger chance we're gonna then create what we call a wick fill. Okay, what do I mean with a wick fill? If you go to the 12-hour time frame, you can see that we have a larger wick sitting right there. And there are chances that if you get rejected here and you break internally, that you indeed come down to fill that wick, at least partially. It's very common. Or come back to the month. Yeah. But that could be a confirmation for a short setup. But right now, we need to see that exact same play as we saw on gold, for example, yesterday. And that is that price was ranging, pull back internally, pull back, broke, and then continued. You could say, yeah, but why don't you then short it from there? Well, the main reason is because price could easily simply just reverses. You know, post hourly candle, new hourly candle opens, bottom wick gets set, taps into this support, it sets in the bottom wick and it reverses higher. Because we did bounce from a macro demand zone, we did bounce from a higher time frame demand zone right here, and that's so important. So that's why this is more likely to continue. But if this happens, for me, it's worth taking a play towards the downside, back down. Okay, 2 minutes. Let's see what happens here on gold. Douglas says, sorry, I just got in. What do you think gold will do? I mean, the problem is that news is coming right now, my friend. News is coming on the spot right now. So be aware of that. Maybe nothing happens. Maybe we're not going to see a move or whatever. You know? If it happens, what are you saying? How far will you go long? Well, if price pulls back, let's say, and it holds here, and we're looking at like a continuation play or something, then it depends where my stop loss is at, but I think it will be probably like 30, 35. Probably like 35.68, something like that. But news is in like 30 seconds, so we'll see. We'll see. Bro, I personally don't like, in general, when I'm trading, I just personally do not like 10 a.m. news, man. 10 a.m. news is just the most annoying thing that I've seen. Because you're right after the New York Stock Exchange open. You're 2 hours after the New York open. Sometimes, because there is news at 10 a.m., New York open does nothing. New York Stock Exchange open does nothing. And everyone is waiting for 10 a.m. So I prefer like 8 a.m. news, completely fine. Boom, New York open, 8:30, news, done, trading. That's it. Like, that's it. Or is it still coming? What is the news telling you? Nothing. Like, literally nothing. Yeah, this is quote unquote bearish for the dollar. So gold should be going up higher. I've seen bullish news for the dollar. Gold going up higher, or, you know, dollar coming down. I mean, it just over time maybe, but I haven't seen in the short term that it always has to be, oh, news is bullish, so dollar has to go up. Or news is bearish, dollar has to come down. Okay, look at NQ. Yeah, it's the same thing, right? It's holding up. You see that? It's holding up. It's right in between this range. So like I said before, if price breaks down, this will be a scenario right around here. I would risk half. I would be risking 50% less on this trade. If price breaks above the Sunday open, which is also this level, I would not risk half, I would risk full. I would look for the continuation play. Hope that makes sense. Dollar is coming down, that's good. That's a good start. That means that dollar supply actually held really well. You can see that right now. Look at that confirmation. And this is what I'm always talking about beforehand. I said it yesterday. I said, why is it that when news comes out, the dollar tends to be, especially important news, tends to be in a macro supply or demand zone? I said it yesterday. If you remember that, that's exactly what you're seeing again. Price stalls at the supply zone. News comes out. Boom, bearish. Now what happened? Price created a range during Asia session. London manipulated the highs. The reversal came. And then the pullback, New York open, couldn't break that Asian range. And it sold off. Dollar cat dumping, yeah, that's exactly what I expected, to be honest. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the trade setup would have been there, right? So the scenario, the trade scenario we always talk about, that will be price pulling back into the previous range and then setting off here. There's still a chance that price comes there, by the way. It's holding, it's actually not coming down as much. So we'll see. Gold is reversing, gold's dumping a little bit here. Overall, pretty slow market today. Pretty slow market if you compare it to yesterday, compare it to last week's. No, last week was really bad as well, by the way. Predominantly yesterday was really nice. A lot of volume. Still not like crazy, but it was okay. It was good. We had two pretty good trades here. We had the New Zealand dollar and then gold. Guys, it looks like gold is gonna dump. I hope so. I hope gold comes down towards at least this area of interest here. Okay. I hope so. I hope gold will push down a little bit here. Or NQ will simply just break out. That would be nice too. If NQ breaks higher, that is also a good sign. One of those. Lorenzo, that's an Italian name. Where are you from? So my father is Italian, my mother is Dutch. So I'm actually Dutch, but I have an Italian name pretty much, with some Italian roots as well. But you could say I'm Dutch. I know many like Dutch traders, by the way, but they're all trading in Dutch. They're all talking, sharing information in Dutch. They're having their own YouTube channels as well. They're actually doing really well for themselves. But it's all Dutch channels, etc., etc. I rarely know guys that are Dutch and actually are, doing it internationally, let's say. But I get this every day. Yo, bro, you're Italian. And I'm always saying, yeah, I'm mixed. However, why do I appreciate Italians so much? I appreciate these guys because Italians just, they are so extremely proud of their country, of where they come from. Italians love to connect with other Italians. That's just the reality of how Italians work. Oh, you're Italian? You're Italian? I love that. I love in general when people are proud of their country, proud of where they come from, where they stand for, their origin. It's special. It has something. You should really protect it and preserve it. Jimmy says the biggest lesson for me is to be patient. So the reason, where that comes from originally is usually the guys that I've spoken to, and also a lot of guys that I've been talking with in Discord, especially in Discord. Okay, but also I know for a couple guys in our Telegram group, that have been absolutely killing it. Many guys in our Telegram have that issue with patience. And it usually comes from not knowing exactly what you're looking for. And because of that, you feel you're missing out on something. You feel that the move is happening in front of your own eyes here. But if you know exactly what you're looking for, then usually you will not have that issue that you are going against your patience. Like you will usually, you become patient by default the more certain you become about your strategy. Vantage, why don't you buy Nasdaq if it hits the last fixed POC? Not waiting for breakout and take it short. You mean buy here? Wait for price to push up and then take it short? Is that what you mean? The problem with that is if you do that, right? That means that I expect price to reject here, push into this zone, hold this zone. This is a much larger range, right? Price is pulling back, getting rejected from that range. This is a much larger range. I would never buy in that range here. I would wait for this larger range to be broken, like larger range to be taken out. If this range gets taken out, you have so much more upside potential just by default, because you're really breaking structure here. But if you're getting rejected from this zone and you start trying to take an internal long against it, it's kind of like, so I'm from the Netherlands, right? We have bicycles. And when I was like 15 or something, like what, 14, like every person in the Netherlands, almost every person I know that is Dutch or has Dutch origins has a has a bicycle, okay? Just so you know. There are more bikes, more bicycles in my country than people, okay? So I went to my bicycle to school every single day of the week for years. High school, okay? We cannot even drive a car, right? We have to be 18 and shit. So we're either on a bicycle or maybe on a scooter later on. But we started on a bicycle. Everyone started on a bicycle. So there were periods, okay, where I went to school on my bicycle, and I was in school in around 20 minutes. 20 minutes on my bicycle, I was on school. Why? Because the sun was shining. I had the wind in my back. We always have a lot of wind in my country. Yeah, I had the wind in my back. Was pushing me forward while I was driving. Everything was easy. I was not fighting the current. I was not swimming against the current. It's just nice and steady. But then there were periods where I come from school or where I go to school in the morning. It's fucking raining. The wind is in my face. It's really strong. I'm fighting the wind. It's raining. And by the way, these things make me so unhappy, by the way, that thinking about it, how bad it actually was. But anyways, what I'm trying to say is that methodology I'm always trying to avoid. I'm always trying to avoid trading against the current, okay? Trading against the current. What do I mean with that? If you get rejected here, and I'm trying to take a long here and expect a bounce for follow through, right? It's kind of telling me, you know, this is the big current that is pushing price down, and I'm trying to literally take a quick long setup from that setup here, okay, where there's just a much larger chance that this larger zone will just simply take out the lows and continue down lower, okay? So why would I just not wait for this? If I would go long and look for long setup, why would I just not simply wait for this range to be broken, to turn it into support, to look for the continuation place? Because then we can take it potentially to the highs here. Anyways, enough bicycle talk, but that's just the reality here. People have bicycles. No, by the way, I have to say this. There were periods in where I'm from a city called Rotterdam. Okay, people steal each other's bicycle all the time. So it's like you steal someone's bicycle, then you put it somewhere, then someone else steals it from you, then you go and you find another bicycle somewhere. You have a master key, boom, you take the bicycle, someone else steals it from you. It's like the Wild West. Dark Man says, stop loss hit an oil trade on the floor. Didn't you take a short setup? Didn't you take a short? Tony says, did you see any alternative entries earlier today on gold from the range? Today, not really. No, pretty much we have been just literally just ranging throughout the whole session here. Even London session had no movement on gold today. And that is pretty normal, okay? Every time when I see price pulling back, and it pretty much does something like this, so it ranges, then usually what you see after is that you saw a big expansion. If you see a big expansion before, then I see a lot of times that the London session, the Asia session tend to be slower. The London session as well. It just needs more time, right, to accumulate. It needs more time to just continue. So yesterday, very, very clean trade. The day, actually, you could say here as well, if you wanted to take that trade here, you could. And then last week, it was very clear on a Tuesday, very clear trade. Wednesday, very clear trade. Thursday, very clear trade. So last week was perfect. Pretty much every day besides the Monday, And besides I think even Friday, to be honest with you. Let's see. No, actually not really. No, actually just Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday on gold were really good last week. Yesterday, Tuesday was really good. Today it's expanding, but it's not pulling back into one of our levels here. But why is gold going so long? The reason why is because dollar is breaking down right now. Gold broke out of this range, large range on the daily time frame. It closed the daily candle above it. This is the first daily candle closure after above the 3450. Since the range was created since April. So you have the end of April, May, June, July, August. That's 4.5 months of consolidation. And then that first daily closure above here. So that's why it's only longs and that's it. Ugly says, then I think I will close with minus 6K. Yeah, the thing is, bro, you're short on gold? The problem is with being short right now, if you are short on gold, is that you don't know where the end is. You simply don't know. You can't know. Because if the dollar is weak, then gold has still that upside potential. When the dollar is strong, gold doesn't really care. So by default, if you're in a short position, it's gonna be tricky anyways. If I was in a short position right now and I would be 6K drawdown, I'm not sure where your entry is, but if that would be me, I would personally be closing it. Yeah. Sorry, YNQ is not an EM1 for sell because bias, right? We talked about it already. Look how strong it's holding up, by the way. Look how strong it's holding up right now at the moment. Yeah, you see how important this level is. You see how it's getting rejected. But this is, again, this is where nuances come into play, right? We talked about this before. You're going to see this a lot on the stream when we take setups. You're going to see these ranges. You're going to see an expansion. Then two things are going to happen. Either you're going to see this, or you're going to see this. When this happens, you should already know what to look for. So you should already have in your head, I'm going to wait for this, and I'm going to trade it, or I'm going to wait for this, I'm going to trade it. And that has to do with the understanding of the higher time frame. Or the understanding of the dollar, depending if you trade gold, if you trade currencies, etc. You can also look at the dollar for that exact reason. Now, the fact that the dollar is really weak also is not helping the Nasdaq, by the way, pushing down. So what do you think of gold? I think gold is right now pushing. The chances of it pulling back to our level, I don't think it's really that big here. I think it just came down. It didn't tap into our zone perfectly. This was happening at New York Open. So where you pull back into this range perfectly, right here, right here, right here. And then yesterday as well, today, seems to be slightly off. Just a couple pips, to be honest. Thomas says, I posted my 2 setups in Telegram. Nice, let me check. And New Zealand dollar against US dollar. Yeah, see me. So this is actually very nice, Tom. Congratulations. That's actually really good. You have the larger breakout. Dollar broke down from supply. We pull back, we break out, we pull back. You take the larger range, but you could have also indeed seen this lower time frame setup right here. And then the breakout continuation. I think it's a very nice setup, my friend. I think it's very good. I think it's a good trade. Very nice. Yeah, you guys have been sharing a lot of setups in this Telegram channel here, which is really awesome to see. Like, really nice, really nice. Keep it up. Before it happens, all right? Before it actually happens. That's what the real G's do. That's good. We got Ruak in our group. Welcome, Ruak, my friend. Good to have here. And Q now breaking out, yes. So it got rejected, now it's breaking out. Let's see. It's trying to break out. It's still holding below it. You can still see how strong that rejection is. But it wants to, right? It really wants to go. It really wants to go. It really wants to go high. Thomas, my G, welcome back. Well, good to see you, bro. I'll talk to you later. Otherwise, you don't trade anymore in MT5. Are you trading only futures? No, we're trading on MT5 too. One CFD prop firm, futures prop firm, MT5 personal swing. Still getting rejected though. It's still getting rejected from that level. It's still getting rejected from this 23,458 on the Nasdaq here. Okay. Still getting rejected. Gold as well. Gold is just going. Gold is pushing up higher. So right now, regardless of what the dollar does, gold is holding up extremely well. But you should think about it this way, right? Let's say you would be entering here randomly. Let's say you don't really have a strategy. You just enter the position and you just think, just fuck it, right? I'm on my phone. I'm in my bed right now. I'm chilling. I see gold going up. I'm just gonna buy. The problem with this is over time is that you don't know how far things can go. There is no way to properly manage your risk accordingly. There's just no way you can do that. Okay? I know guys, they say, I'm just going to take 20 pip loss, random 20 pips. If it goes down 20 pips, I just close the position. But in reality, most of the time, it's really hard to have a good risk-reward ratio. For example, if you would have taken a trade here, right? And we would have waited for that pullback. And let's say the stop loss goes there. You will be at a 2.5 to 1 here. Let's say you would enter. You would enter there. Okay? Let's say you enter on this breakout. Your stop loss still needs to be there, right? If you want to have your stop loss at the right spot below that range where you're kind of protected from that area here. ICT traders would say the for value gap right there. Right below it. Then you would still need to have that stop loss there. Now your risk reward is 0.76. That means right now that you need to win what, 80% of your trades to make money? 80% to make money consistently in the market. It's very hard to do this consistently. That means out of 10 trades, you can only have 2 losing positions. Right, so it's very hard to manage your risk accordingly when you do that here. This is why it's so important to wait for the right setups, to wait for the moment when these setups play out here. And sometimes if there are no trades, which is gonna happen, then you just accept that there is no trade here, because at least, you kind of avoid silly mistakes, silly trades you should have not taken here. The worst trades for me are trades that I could have avoided. Thomas says the wake up trades in bed never work out very well. No, exactly. And I had some nightmares. I go to bed. I take a position. Okay, I'm in a position right now. I'll go to bed. I'll take a trade. Now I can't sleep anymore. Now I'm not tired anymore. Now I'm looking at my phone all night long because I'm in position. Now I'm stuck in my position. Now it gets even worse. Now I'm stuck in my position. I'm on my phone. I'm in bed. Now I can't sleep, but I'm in my bed. Now I'm just staring at the chart and hoping that it turns around. And then, and then that's the end of the story. So I don't like really trading on my phone unless I prepared something beforehand or unless I have no other choice. If I really have no other choice, maybe. Then I will be trading on my phone, of course. Like, I have to find a way to trade. But if I can avoid it, I would. Mark, actually, sorry, 5K profit yesterday. Yeah, you killed it yesterday, man. Let me actually check this out here. Let's go over it. USD sell, GU sell, gold buys. These were the same buys yesterday, right? Yeah. Yeah, very nice, my man. Your first 5K day. Congratulations. It's awesome. That's very awesome. Congratulations. Very good. Before and after LTA. Nice. Yeah, you guys are doing you guys are following the same system. Amazing setup. Yeah, awesome. There we go. Nasdaq is going. Nasdaq is breaking out. You see that? That's exactly something that we were waiting for. Is even though you react from a level, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's the exact trade that we should take, right? And this is where experience comes into play. This is where you know exactly when to trade and when not to trade. And this is why I said if this breaks down, so if we break this low and we pull back here, I rather short it from here than short it from here. Because even though this is higher, because you might think, yeah, but it's better to short from the top than from there, right? Well, actually, the confirmation here will be much higher for me to take a short from here to here than from there to here. I hope that makes sense. The probability will be lower. That's why I can't take that trade. For example, short here. I would wait for that break, retest, then I would take the trade short. That will give me a much higher confirmation. And what you see right now, it doesn't break that low and it breaks out. It's trying to break out at least. Do you think gold will keep trending today? It could be. It could also pull back and slow down. We don't know. But that gold overall is very bullish is for sure a certainty right now. And I don't see any reason to short it. Don't see any reason to short it. Market actually says I'm also trading on ECAP FX. The match trader is great. I mean, I hear a lot of guys talking about ECAP. It's that new prop firm. They have been killing it, growing super fast. That's what happens when you have the better rules, the best rules, when things are going into play, when you use match trader. I love match trader, by the way. Let me know if you guys know what match trader is. Match trader is pretty much a terminal that you can use that is similar to, let's say, a futures terminal, right? So it almost feels like you're trading futures. Futures has one of these really, really good terminals, right? Where you can trade really well, really friendly, easy to use. You can directly calculate your loss, your win ratio, etc. So that's like super, super good to know. That on these CFD brokers, usually they have like MetaTrader. MetaTrader is just, I mean, I like MetaTrader personally. I'm super used to trading on MetaTrader. But MatchTrader is definitely something that's going to take over. And I think that every firm that adapts to that, like ECAP, I think they are, yeah, it's just a better, it's just one of the better terminals right now. Will your stop loss on the Nasdaq be 23.30 once it breaks and holds? If it closes above the fixed high and it pulls back, creates a bottom wick, I think chances of continuation is likely here. So that's the last. That's actually what I'm waiting for right now, because gold already kind of gave up on us here today. If we go to gold here, I mean, we can check it out, but I don't think gold will pull back into one of our levels right now. And if it doesn't break down here, then yeah, I don't think gold is gonna have that setup for today. That's what I think here. We literally just broke the highs here as well again. So that means it has to come down. It has to pull back, and it has to then continue to go higher. That's not going to be like, I don't think it's going to be this this session here on gold, to be honest. So the NQ is interesting for that reason, because of the fact that we are now breaking above that exact range. And that is similar to how we saw it happening on that pullback here. So that's the last thing I'm gonna wait for. See if it's clean. If it's not, we'll leave it for today. If it is, we're gonna see what we can do here. So I give it a bit of time here to see how it develops. Seems like a typical Wednesday to me again, to be honest. At least you're gonna see the first 15-minute closure here.
versus sinners, the poor versus riches, top ramen place versus 5-star dinners. Wonder why I fit in the humblest beginnings. Had to take some losses before I saw my first.
Boom, first closure. That's actually quite nice. So
my life is like a movie in the plot just thickened. Came from broken homes trying to break the old traditions. Left my old ways for my future acquisitions. I know.
now we're above that range. Now we are above these levels. We are also above the opening price of the week. The hourly candle is gonna close in around 15 minutes. So this is actually more interesting as an alternative, something that I will be looking at here. Let's see if it's actually possible here if you take that previous range. This right here, yeah, it should be fine. It should be fine. Let's see. Let's look at the previous weekly range. Sunday open is there. It's gonna get tight though. With this area, it's gonna get pretty tight overall. So price has to really get to the PSC. Merrick says, when did you start doing lives again, Lorenzo? Yesterday we started again. Yesterday we started again. We had a killer session. Gold was on a run, gave us the perfect setup. It was beautiful, beautiful start of the week. We got a 2R. That means we can now sit back and enjoy and only take the right setups for the rest of the week to become profitable. This is bullish, that's for sure. It's very bullish.
Look, saint versus sinners, the poor versus riches, top ramen place versus 5-star dinners. Wonder why I fit in the humblest beginnings. Had to take some losses before I saw my first winnings. Silver line grinning, poverty line thinning. My life is like a movie in the plot just thickened. Came from broken homes trying to break the old traditions. Left my old ways for my future acquisitions. I know. No such thing as playing both sides, I know. Life is better in the dope ride, I know. The water better in the low tide. Music better amplified, staying down for upsides, I know. No such thing as playing both sides, I know. The life is better in the dope ride, I know. The water better in the low tide. Music better amplified, staying down for
What is the POC? The point of control. You can download the book for free. In the description, you can download the book. Right here, it's free of charge. You don't have to pay for anything, okay? Everything is explained in this one right here. We talk about this. So whenever we take trades, it will usually be from one of these levels right here, okay? One of these levels right there. Colin says, so you're waiting on a retracement? Yes, entry model 1 or pullback. Maybe even sometimes a limit order aggressively, depends on the situation. But yeah, usually pullbacks, yes. Price, waiting for price to tap into one of these levels here, because this is where the magic is happening. It comes from the battle between buyers and sellers. The area where the most interest took place was right around there. It's the first time that buyers here took control, okay? The sellers were aggressively trying to break price down here. This is where the most trapped sellers probably are. All right, this is where probably the highest amount of shorters were active. You're gonna have also a lot of market participants that were going short in this smaller range, right here, all aggressively trying to trade the breakouts towards the downside here. Not necessarily here, more down there. Okay, price comes down, massive amount of guys go short, then price reverses, breaks out higher. So the reality is where you want to place your stop loss is usually around where most sellers got trapped into the market. This is usually what we're seeing there is happening here. This is why things like the CME, even on a small scale, you see it, the C, the M, and the E. Right? The retest of that will confirm the continuation play, will give you by default the highest risk-reward ratio because of the fact that you understand where the most trapped market participants are. Okay? The most trapped market participants are sitting right around here right now, Okay, so if you pull back, that's where you'll have the benefit, because you can go long where most trapped sellers are short, where your stop loss is going to be the tightest, but still makes a lot of sense. So that's why a pullback is something that we always will look for, because of the fact that it will help you with your risk-reward ratio and it will make sure that your stop loss placement is correct. And this is why it will confirm also that the larger range is broken and buyers are actually in control as well. So over time, that should give us the right setups.
Life is better in the dope ride, I know. The water better in the low tide, music better amplified, staying down for upsides, I know. No such thing as playing both sides, I know. The life is better in the dope ride, I know.
What's the difference between the first one and the second one? The first book and the second book? Well, the first book was just about the volume profile. And there was no explanation about the macro, the higher time frame, etc. Okay? So why was this really beneficial? A lot of people read the first book last year, the first edition, and they immediately start playing around with all these levels. They start executing trades from all of these levels right here. They start looking for setups right there, right? They start just executing trades, just getting familiar with the setups, getting familiar with the market, and executing all these positions. But the problem that they were facing was directional bias, macro bias, higher time frame understanding, higher time frame bias. Right? So that is what is explained in the second edition. They understand everything from a lower time frame standpoint, volume standpoint, but the second book provides that higher time frame understanding and how to blend it all together. And this is the reason why we sat here. We're not going to look for shorts here. We're only going to look for longs here. And we're not going to look for shorts because we first want to break these highs before we continue to go higher. And that literally saved us a position right now.
I know. Life is better in the dope ride, I know. The water better in the low tide, music better amplified, staying down for upsides, I know. No such thing as playing both sides, I know. The life is better in the dope ride, I know. The water better in the low tide, music better amplified, staying down for upsides, I know. No such thing as playing both sides, I know. Life is better in the dope ride, I know. The water better in the low tide, music better amplified, staying down for upsides, I know. No such thing as playing both sides, I know. The life is better in the dope ride, I know. The water better in the low tide, music better amplified, staying down for upsides, I know.
Umesh says, I've been watching since the first LTA version. Haven't seen Lorenzo on this industry. Thank you. Appreciate it, bro. My guy. Appreciate that. Ezekiel says gold is dropping. Oh, really? It is. It is dropping. It is dropping. In general, yes, there was upward movement. There's just not much movement today. Not as much as yesterday. Definitely not as clean as yesterday. Yesterday was just perfect. Gold came back to your level? I don't think so now. Gold is still pretty high overall. I think Nasdaq is much more interesting at the moment. So we're gonna see. Give me 1 second.
I know, no such thing as playing both sides. I know, life is better in the dope ride. I know, the water better in the low tide. Music better amplify, staying down for upsides. I know, no such thing as playing both sides. I know, the life is better in the dope ride. I know, the water better in the low tide. Music better amplify, staying down for upsides. I know, no such thing as playing both sides. I know, life is better in the dope ride. I know, the water better in the low tide. Music better amplify, staying down for upsides. I know, no such thing as playing both sides. I know, the life is better in the dope ride. I know, the water better in the low tide. Music better amplify, staying down for upsides. I know. Look, saint versus sinners, the poor versus riches, top ramen place versus five-star dinners. Wonder why I fit in, the humblest beginnings. Had to take some losses before I saw my first winnings. Silver line grinning, poverty line thinning. My life is like a movie and the plot just thickened. Came from broken homes trying to break the old traditions. Left my old ways for my future acquisitions. I know, no such thing as playing both sides. I know, life is better in the dope ride. I know, the water better in the low tide. Music better amplify, staying down for upsides. I know, no such thing as playing both sides. I know, the life is better in the dope ride. I know, the water better in the low tide. Music better amplify, staying down for upsides. I know.
Where do you think Nasdaq would come to retest? Nasdaq has to come back towards this level here. 23,487 right there. The blue line. This line right here. Let's see if the risk reward is good enough. It is. I can put my stop loss and break even there. Yes.
I know, no such thing as playing both sides. I know, life is better in the dope ride. I know, the water better in the low tide. Music better amplify, staying down for upsides. I know, no such thing as playing both sides. I know, the life is better in the dope ride. I know, the water better in the low tide. Music better amplify, staying down for upsides. I know, no such thing as playing both
Something like that.
sides. I know, life is better in the dope ride. I know,
Is what I would be looking for. I think this is for me a beautiful range. It's actually very similar to gold, but it's kind of happening on like a larger scale in comparison than yesterday. But the premises is still the same. We range here, we manipulate to the downside, we tap into a demand zone, price comes down, it initially reacts from that level, then when it reacts from this level, it actually, especially on the 30-minute, it rejects, then it breaks higher. That's usually the confirmation you want to wait for. So it's very similar to gold actually yesterday.
Trying to break the old traditions, left my old ways for my future acquisitions. I know no such thing as playing both sides. I know life is better in the dope ride. I know the water better in the low tide, music better amplified, staying down for upsides. I know no such thing as playing both sides. I know the life is better in the dope ride. I know the water.
Yeah, for gold right now, I don't think that gold needs to come down lower for us to be interested in it. Gold needs to drop all the way towards the 35.50 first, or it needs to develop a new range, or it needs to just simply close the day, and then we'll have new data, etc., for new levels. What are you gonna risk? I'm gonna risk, if we enter this position, I'm gonna risk the same as yesterday pretty much. Okay, so let's say I risk, yesterday we were up around 4K. Risking one, actually risking 2K to make 4K, but it was in 2 trades. So 1K per trade, risk to make 2K per trade reward. So that we had 2 winning trades yesterday. So that means 2 times 2, 4K, $2,000 risk. Now $1,000 risk on a single account. So again, the same thing as always, $1,000 to make $2,000. So the reality is that if we would mess up today and tomorrow, then I would still be up for the day, for the week. And that's a good feeling, right? And this is why risk to reward is so important, because let's say you trade the 1-to-1 risk to reward ratio, then you always need to win more than you lose. Always. You need to always win more. And if you want to make money, you actually need to win 70% of the time. Right? You actually need to win 7 out of 10 trades to really make money. So you can, it's really hard. That's what I realized. It's really hard to gauge that momentum, right? To build that momentum. Because you always need to be on your A side. You always need to win. Your only objective is to win, win, win. Whereas if you would go for like a 2-to-1, then at 50% you would be, you know, making serious money already. And that means that you can allow yourself to lose 50% of the trades. So if I, let's say yesterday, made around 4K per account, right? 4 trades, or 2 out of 2 trades, risking 1K per trade to make 2K per trade. That means that I will be up a 4R of the week. That means that I can now lose 4 times 1R to still break even for the rest of the week. Well, the fact that the chance that I will take 4 trades is, I mean, it's possible, but usually it's like 1 trade a day during the New York session or London session, maybe 2, but it's usually 1. Sometimes there is no trading day. So to fuck up this week for me right now is pretty much impossible, right? To really go into a losing week right now, regardless if I would lose today, tomorrow, and Friday, let's say. I would still be up if I would take 1 trade per day right now. This is why I love the 2-to-1 risk reward ratio over anything else. And I have been trading 1-to-1s. You guys know it already on stream. I've been trading everything. I've been testing everything. So To me, understanding risk is everything in this game, and I think that that really makes it much chiller for you here. And then you have guys that trade like you know, I mean, I've seen guys trading a what 0.5 R. Yeah, 0.5 R. Like what if you should think about it? What your if you trade a 0.5 R, what your win rate needs to be like what 90%? I think it needs to be like at least 90% to make money, right? Hey, what says I messaged you in Discord, you didn't answer. It was about the strategy that I made, which has a very good win rate. Yeah, that's exactly what we talked about. You can have a really good win rate, but if your average risk to reward is a 0.5, then yeah, who cares, right? Who cares? If it's a one-to-one, maybe it's a, you know, so like it depends on your risk to reward. Win rate is kind of irrelevant if you don't know what your average risk to reward is, for example.
Better in the low tide, music better amplify, staying down for upsides. I know, no such thing as playing both sides. I know, the life is better in the dope ride. I know, the water better in the low tide, music better amplify, staying down for upsides. I know, no such thing as playing both sides. I know, life is better in the dope ride. I know, the water better in the low tide, music better amplify, staying down for upsides. I know. No such thing as playing both sides. I know the life is better in the dope ride. I know the water better in the low tide, music better amplify, staying down for upsides. I know. Look, saint versus sinners, the poor versus riches, top ramen place versus five-star dinners. Wonder why I fit in, the humblest beginnings. Had to take some losses before I saw my first winnings. Silver line grinning, poverty line thinning. My life is like a movie and the plot just thickened.
So gold is chilling. Dollar is still dropping. Dollar is still coming down. Seems like a typical midweek to me. What do you guys think? Seems like a typical midweek. Typical Wednesday.
Came up off the ignorance, coming from a family drunk cycle and it's belligerent. Me, I sip a little bit, maybe a little more, just trying to keep a score. 2 cups in and knowing my liver sore, and knowing I'm into soar, and knowing I'm in for more. Rewriting destiny right when I hit record. Patching up the trauma, these lyrics is Neosporin. I rose from the concrete away, but it came with thorns, I know. I know, I know, I know, I know, I know. I know, I know. Both sides, I know. Life is better in the dope ride, I know. The water better in the low tide, music better amplify, staying down for upsides, I know. No such thing as playing both sides, I know. The life is better in the dope ride, I know. The water better in the low tide, music better amplify, staying down for upsides, I know. No such thing as playing both sides, I know. Life is better in the dope ride, I know. The water better in the low tide, music better amplify, staying down for upsides, I know. No such thing as playing both sides, I know. The life is better in the dope ride, I know. The water better in the low tide. Music better amplified, staying down for upsides, I know. Look, saint versus sinners, the poor versus riches, top ramen place versus 5-star dentist. Wonder why I fit it. The humblest.
All right, guys, that's a long setup right here. Let's kind of give it a try here. It's a good confirmation. I like it overall here. It's just more about the volume. That's going to be the question here. Is there going to be enough volume in the market? Is that really going to, you know, really benefit us today here? That's something that I'm trying to figure out. If there's just going to be enough volume, right? That's all we pretty much need to know, if there is enough follow through in the market here. But worth it anyways to see what's going on. And yeah, I did lower my risk still a little bit here because of the lack of volume. And we're gonna see. We're gonna just let it run, see how it goes here. And we have a couple levels that we can hold as support, so that should be good overall. We're gonna find out. So stop loss is right below this low. 5 minute, let me see. A little bit lower actually. Let me actually fix this. It's not as low as here. 344. It's right there. Stop loss is makes sense right here. 1-to-1 is right there. And then a 2-to-1 is the final. If we can get there, to be honest. But at least we can put our stops right and break even right around that level here. Which makes a lot of sense. Because you literally just break these highs. So that makes sense to me. Okay. And you see me 12-hour demand. Break above fixed very high. Trans. Reduced my risk. Reduce my risk midweek. Wednesday. Lower volume. Continuation play towards previous week POC. Stop loss on break even after 1 hour. Okay, journal is set. Simple, right? Keep it, just always keeping it super simple. I never try to really, how do you say that? You know, I never really try to overcomplicate journaling. Because some people take it extremely, you know, all the layers, you get sick of it after a while. You really want to keep it as simple as possible. You know, quick reason for my entry, screenshot, my understanding, and then just my thought process. Okay, reducing my risk because of this or whatever. And then just the target. Okay, this is my target. This is the reason why I trade. Boom. And that's pretty much it. Just keeping it very simple. This another layer is to definitely know when to reduce your risk and when to increase your risk over time. Kind of during different types of market conditions. Solo trader makes sense, but it's getting late. Let's see. Yeah, if the momentum is like super slow, right? And it's gonna really die out and it's gonna hover around the entry. Yeah, you can always decide what to do here. That's one of the only reasons to cut my trade. Otherwise, I would usually never cut my trade. Unless it's news or low volume. TP1 makes sense too, just the previous highs from early this week, correct, yes. If you would do TP1s, okay, but I prefer to simply just put my stops on break even. What do you think about stop loss? I think stop loss is good. Yeah, it's right below that range. That internal range, so I like it. Can you stop selling the New Zealand dollar? You make us broke. I mean, sorry, but the New Zealand dollar is just looking, is weak. New Zealand dollar has been really, really weak. I mean, probably it's pushing up a little bit now, but it was really weak this whole week so far. So yeah, it was definitely worth shorting it. I like the New Zealand dollar, by the way. I like to trade the New Zealand dollar. You trade only in the New York session on stream? Yes. You know, in the group or whatever the case, or in Telegram, we do trade the London sessions as well here. So we make sure that we trade London and New York. Usually Asia is just for me an observation, because what I usually want to see is Asia just doing not much. I want to see Asia just pretty much ranging. I want to see Asia ranging right here. I want to see London. London can range too sometimes. I prefer breaking out. And then I'll make the decision if I look for the continuation down during New York session, or the breakout towards the upside for the continuation. It's pretty straightforward actually, if you look at it from that standpoint. But that's why I would definitely trade London if I get the chance. Was the gold entry here early? So this is the Nasdaq. This is not gold. And yesterday's gold entry, in my opinion, was perfect. I think it was the perfect entry. Price came down, tapped into it, broke, flipped it, and then yeah, just continued to go higher. Are you in the Nasdaq? Yes, I am in the Nasdaq already. You can see that right here. We have the PUC now. We're holding up above the PUC. We still have this smaller range. Stop loss is right below that range. Prices can check dollar yen. We can check dollar yen for sure. Yeah. Dollar yen. Oof. Daily. Daily supply as well. Breakdown. Dollar is weak, man. Dollar is really weak. Yeah, so you have this range here, right? This is already one layer to work with. I'm also quickly, let me check this level as well here. No. So yeah, this range is definitely something interesting to work with. Especially if the dollar pulls back, definitely worth paying attention to. Absolutely. What will we get in the Discord community? In Discord, we are always trading live. This is what we do in our community. We have a weekly analysis on a Monday, and then we trade live throughout the week. The Discord is very about, you know, learning, but also just constantly real-time executing, trading. Of course, besides, you know, all the videos and everything. You know, we have all the macro fundamental alerts. It's an alert system we have developed. Okay. I have not even talked about it overall, but this leads us to, let's say, a lot of macro signals, backtesting, a lot of data. This is on gold, for example, a lot of macro fundamental data that we use. So many different things, but most importantly, the trading floor is definitely something that we have been really using a lot right now at the moment. So my stop is at 23,407 below that range. If it gets hit, yeah, that's it for today for sure. That will be the trade for today. Gold never really came back to our entry. Nasdaq gave us a confirmation. It's now pulling back. So if the Nasdaq hits us, then it's worth to not trade more. It looks like Vantage does not allow US traders. I don't think so. I don't think Vantage allows it, no. Does live trades share also in the Discord community in real time? Yes, this is what we do. So we have the guys here. And the most important thing, we are all trading the exact same thing. All trading the exact same thing here. All day long, we're, you know, pretty much these guys right now have formed a team. They work together. They're trading together. They're trading just because they want to trade themselves anyways. So why not just, you know, sharing it and stuff? And they're constantly just sharing their information here. So right now, Ronak just entered, I think, a $-yen short position. Okay, almost stopped out here on the NQ. And that's it. We're gonna not trade anymore for today. We want to end the week profitable. We will not allow ourselves to win, be up a 4R, and ruin it the rest of the week. Does Vantage allow Indian trades? Yes, for sure. Indians, for sure. Why wouldn't it allow Indians? Can we follow your live trades on funded account with you in the New York live? Yeah, this is literally what I'm doing now, right? So I'm literally trading in front of you guys. We picked it up again. This is literally what we're doing all day right now. So, and this is something that we also have been doing in the group anyways. We're just now doing it back again on YouTube. So, yeah, it's really nice. It's really nice to be back. Reversal. I'm still gonna mark out this range for later, for tomorrow, if volume picks up here. Because if this is a rejection and price breaks below this range, pulls back into this range, then that will be a continuation play, potentially. Rich one day says, where's the volume? I thought only August will be bad. I think it's just gonna be now this week. I think after the FOMC, I think we're gonna be back to normal again. Post FOMC. All right, we're out. That is a 0.9, you could say 1R. Let's just say 1R to make it easy. 1R loss. 4R win yesterday, 1R loss today. Now we're gonna add this real quick. Let me add this real quick. Okay, done. Yeah, it's literally around that level here. 1 second, let me see. Yeah, right there. Yeah, same level. Okay. All right, Juice. So we're going to take this one. We're going to take this hit right here. For this session here, there's no reason to start forcing out setups here. It is holding up. It's actually holding up here. But again, the thing is now this will start acting as resistance again. That means that the chance that this could reject could be there. So the chances of that succeeding would also be minimal regardless anyways. Unless it rebreaks the highs again. But yeah, that's a different story. So could go up from here, could try to push into the zone again. Take this like intraday lower time frame push up. But there's no need to stay in the same trade for me personally here and try to get involved again. This is how I blew up accounts in the past. This is how I got really bad in my just in general. Is let's say I get stopped out of a position, for example, and then the moment I get stopped out of my position, I try to re-enter the position right away, or like within like 10-15 minutes I like to re-enter. Why? Because I see the price is responding from where I got stopped out, and I think, oh, I just should have put my stop loss a little bit wider. And to me personally, these are really bad habits. Really bad habits. If I start trying to get back into the position right away after the stream, it really gets me like that scarcity mindset, you know? Because there are so many opportunities every single day. Every day, you're gonna find new setups on new instruments. Tomorrow again, right? Why do I want to lose a position and try to get involved immediately again? Like that truly, absolutely killed me as a trader. Because let's say I would risk, let's say $1,000 on a single trade, and I would lose that trade, and I would immediately re-enter that trade. Would I then be risking $1,000, or would I then actually be risking $2,000, right? Pretty much the same thing. In my opinion, I would just be doubling my risk, but I'm just spreading my risk pretty much. I would be entering the same trade again, but I would just simply be doubling my risk. So that's why usually I try to stay away from re-entries as much as possible here. Okay? As much as possible. And this is something that we can see here on Wednesdays regardless. Sticking to one trade for me on a Wednesday is more than enough if I get the opportunity, because you can already see from August, my Wednesdays are usually the worst days of the month. This was in July. This was okay, maybe not in yeah, July pretty much as well, right? 2 losing days, 2 winning days. Losing days was bigger. So my loss was even bigger than my win on a Wednesday here. August, same thing. This week, first day of the month, first Wednesday of the month, same thing. So that's why lower, just for me personally, the Wednesdays are just lower overall. So that's why I would always limit myself to take just one trade. Never exceed that. I think that makes the most sense in general, to be real honest with you. Okay. Anyways, guys, thank you for today's session. We're going to get back tomorrow again here. We're going to see how price develops overall. Gold missed us for sure. Yesterday was really nice on gold. We had a beautiful 2-hour position here. Today, if price came down a little bit lower, then it would have been nice. But again, we also were dealing with a lot of news, etc. Tomorrow, we're also going to have news. Friday, we're going to have NFP. But tomorrow, the most important news which I'm looking out for is the ADP non-farm employment. So that is at 8:30. It's much better because that means that the most important news is behind us. And that's usually what I would focus on. So if that's behind us, it's better. Because that means that I can at least think clearly when taking a position without having to wait for news to come out, for example. All right. NQ is holding up. Yeah, it's actually holding up quite well here. Okay. Rules are rules. So setups are setups. Trades are trades. And that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for coming back towards the live streams again. We're going to go through it here. We're going to see this a lot. We're going to see around 55, 60, 40% of the time, you would say we're going to see losing trades as well. So don't think this is like a bad thing. This is just for me personally, all part of the process. I'm gonna have losing trades. I'm gonna be losing sometimes 40% of the time. So that means out of 10 streams, I would maybe lose 4 of those. Yeah, but if we win more than we lose, we make money over time. That's what matters. That's what I'm here for. Okay. Thank you very much, guys. I'm gonna see you at tomorrow New York session again, and we're gonna set up the same process, and we'll see from there. Thanks for coming up, G's. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to download the LTA warm-up. Get back on track. See you inside for the rest.
Hey.
See you tomorrow. Thank you very much. Ciao, 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 ciao.
Yeah, I've been wanting this shit forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better. Hey. Ain't no errors, baby, it's a new era. I wake up early, feeling rich like I'm Kesha. I get to the paper, boy. Extra, extra. Fuck with me, you know that I got it. Come with me, let's take a trip to the islands. We up on the jet, we'll do more than just fly on it. Stand on that hill, you gon' die on it. Boom, boom. Baby, I'm not one of them, you should try on it. Miss me with all that, I'm on it and next. Fuck this up, I send you back to your ex. But good luck with that, this is big as it gets. Hey, let's see how you do under pressure. Let's see how you do under pressure. Give them a name to remember. Hey, let's see how you do under pressure. Let's see how you do under pressure. A moment can live on forever. Yeah. Oh shit, they don't let me shoot a whole clip. Firepower in this coalition. We just turned the field into a demolition. It was desolate, but I had premonition. I was training for war, every exhibition, every extra mission, every enemy listening. Get off my dick, I got bad intentions. Make it right every wrong, and I'm back with a vengeance. I show you the ropes. Peace in my town, I can show you the coast. Up in the shots if they wanted to smoke. If you know, then you know. Suited up, bitch, my whole team do the same. Don't you forget who created the game. Ready for war, I was born with grenades. The trenches where soldiers are made. Let's see how you do under pressure. Let's see how you do under pressure. Give them a name to remember. Hey, let's see how you do under pressure. Let's see how you do under pressure. A moment can live on forever.